Awesome. So now that we have Flash set up correctly, we have the Bootstrap alerts displaying or not displaying when they're supposed to be hidden, but we have things set up now, we can just go in and fill in the error or success messages wherever we see fit. So let's just tackle it one route at a time. So let's start with our campground routes. So anyone should be able to go to /, there shouldn't be any error messages or success messages if you go to just /campgrounds, the index. If you do try and send a post request to /campgrounds, which is create, you do have to be logged in. So if you're not logged in, let's go find the middleware, which is inside of middleware index.js, and we find is logged in. We already have this set up. So rather than please log in first, let's say you need to be logged in to do that. We'll save that. Go back to campgrounds. So that takes care of create. Same thing to see the form, the new form. You have to be logged in. We have the same Flash that we have here. Same middleware. Further down, anyone can go to the show page. Edit, we have check campground ownership. So this is going to check if the user who is trying to access the edit form for a campground actually owns that campground. So inside of our middleware, if we go to check campground ownership, which is right here, we have a few things that we can do. First, we're checking, is the user logged in? So if not, before we redirect, let's do a request dot flash error, and we'll just do you need to be logged in to do that. Okay, but this is most likely not going to happen very often that someone even gets to that page, because remember, you can't even see the edit link unless you own something. So to actually go to the edit page, you have to manually enter that URL. So it's really more for testing purposes and to be as secure as possible, but most users aren't going to be trying to edit, typing out these long URLs by hand. All right. So the more important part though is once we find the campground, if the user is logged in, we find the campground, and then if there's an error, we could add something here. So this would refer to an error from the database if it couldn't find that. So we could do a request.flash error and just do something like, let's just say campground not found or something like that. We probably won't see that ever, but we can put it there. And I'll copy this line. Now this is the important part. So if the found campground.author.id is equal to the logged in user's ID, move on. So no Flash there. If it's not, we could say something like permission denied, but let's just do you don't have permission to do that. There we go. So if we go back to campgrounds, we also have update, which is using the same thing, check campground ownership. And we have destroy, which is also using the same thing. And we could go and fill these in too. So I won't spend time on the video, but we could go and when we're trying to find a campground by ID and update, if that campground doesn't exist, so actually rather than this one, let's do it for edit. So if you're trying to edit a campground that doesn't exist, we could add in something here. So we'd check for error. And I won't spend time doing that again, but I do want you to know you can add these in wherever you want. So you can add in this request.flash and add in any message, error, or success. So if you wanted to send a congratulations message basically for everything that the user ever did, you could easily do that if you wanted to. And in fact, let's do that. We'll wait until we get to comments. So anyways, we have destroy again using the same middleware there. So now let's move on to comments. So you try and make a new comment. You have to be logged in. We already have that done. And the comment create route, rather than new, you still have to be logged in. Same thing. And we could do something like this. So once you create the comment, if there's an error, we could do request.flash error and just say something went wrong. And again, you probably would never see this, but if the database was somehow screwed up, if something went wrong with the data, then there might be an error when you try to create the comment. Otherwise, though, we create the comment and then we redirect. So right here, we could add a message, request.success, and we'll just add in successfully added comment. Added or created comment. And then we redirect back to the show page. Then we have edit, and this is check comment ownership. So if we go to our middleware, we have check comment ownership right here. So we can do the same thing. If the user's not logged in, we'll display one thing here. You need to be logged in to do that. If they are logged in, but they don't own it, we'll also display an error. You don't have permission to do that. Okay? And there are other places we could add things in, of course, but I just want to keep it simple in the most important places, which are really just errors. So I don't want to do it for every single thing that you create or edit, but we could easily, when you edit something, when you delete something, which actually destroying is more common to show a message, so we can do that. So let's say when you delete a comment, which is at the bottom here, right here, we'll add in a success comment deleted. So this is once it's been removed. If there's an error, we could add something else, but I won't. If there's not an error, flash this message, then redirect. All right. The last bit of routes that we have are the authentication routes. So first things first, let's see. When you register, we don't want anything to show up there right away. When you send the post request to /register though, when there's an error, we do want to add something in. So this would be if you can't sign up for some reason. If your password is empty, if the username is empty, if the username is already taken, that would all happen here. And we don't have to write those errors on our own. That's what this error refers to right here. So let me just show you that first. If we do request.flash error, and then rather than campground not found as a string, we just add in ERR. So remember, we're trying to register a user. We pass in new user and the password from the body. Then there's a callback, error, and user. And we're checking if there's an error. And this is coming from Passport. It will be empty or there will be an error there. And if that error exists, it will be something like password can't be blank, or username can't be blank, or username is already taken. And we're just sending that through. So we don't have to write those messages ourselves. We could write our own custom versions, but for simplicity's sake, we're just going to take advantage of what's already done for us. And we can do the same thing once you do register and then we log you in. We can have request.flash success, and we'll just say welcome to Yelp Camp, and then we'll add in the username. And the username we access from a few different places. We can just do user.username. It would also be request.body.username, but we'll use the one coming back from the database just in case somehow it got changed by our database. All right, a lot of different places we could add messages in. Let's just check again if there's any other important part. So when you log out, we already have that, and we should be good to go. While we're here, we can get rid of our middleware because we've now moved that to the middleware file. Okay, so let's give all of this a shot. Let's restart the server and see what happens. So we start by refreshing. If I try and add a new campground, it tells me I need to be logged in. Let's go back. Same thing if I try and add a comment. I need to be logged in. All right, so now let's sign in or sign up. And let's try something like signing up as Rusty, who already exists here. And never mind, apparently Rusty did not exist in this version of the app. we have so many different versions, databases going on. So it tells me, welcome to Yelp Camp Rusty. Now, if I do log out, I also get logged you out. Now, if I try and sign up as Rusty, that's already taken. You'll see that I get this object here. So let's take a closer look at that in just a moment. Object when I sign up, and I get a sign up error, but we'll come back to that. Let's take a look at some of the other errors that we saw. So if I do log in as Rusty again, and now I try and go to Salmon Creek, and this I try and let's say edit this campground, which the link isn't even here, but if I went to /edit, it tells me you don't have permission to do that. So all of those are working except for the error around trying to sign up as Rusty once Rusty has already been created. So I did mention, instead of it's kind of confusing because we have two index files. So let me close out the index middleware, and we'll take a look at our index routes, which is where we have, let me just show you over here, just so it doesn't get too confusing. Instead of routes, remember campgrounds, comments, and we have index. So inside of index, where we have this line right here, request.flash_error, and we're passing error in, let's just do a simple console.log err. And let's take a look at what we get. So to cause that error again, so let's see what happens if I try and sign up with an empty username, empty password. Shouldn't work. If we take a look at what we get here, a message. So this is ERR, and inside of it, there's name, and more importantly, message. No username was given. So rather than just passing through ERR, we want ERR.message. Just like that. So restart the server now, and whenever there's an error, message will be different. So in this case, no username was given. It could also be no password was given, username already taken. As you can see, I got this earlier. So let me try this again. Register, just refresh, make sure. Let's leave it blank, and I get no username was given. Now, if I try and sign up as Rusty, which already exists, I now get a user with a given username is already registered. So we're taking advantage of that ERR.message and passing that through, and we're not defining these messages, they're coming back from Passport. Well, actually from Mongoose, but because we have that Mongoose Passport local package that we're using, so we're getting that automatically. All right, so it's kind of a lot of work as far as the number of videos. It was 3 videos to get this done, but compared to doing this from scratch, adding this into every request and dealing with all of that, it's much easier.